Hello, and welcome to another week of the Abuse Cartoons live stream. What am I hearing? There we go. Sorry, Twitch was not muted, so I was hearing myself. All right. Well, thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody from the Hyphonics gang to say hey. That is very encouraging and keeps me coming back. So appreciate it a lot. So back for another week, and I still have my camera on the top of the tablet, so the angle is a little odd because I need that angle for drawing. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, another, as you can see, gray and miserable day, but at least it's not snowing. I heard that parts of the Americas are getting some heavy snow, so I don't miss that. So we don't get snow almost at all here in Osaka. I don't know exactly why. We're not very far south, so mild winters and really hot, humid summers in Japan and in a lot of Asia. But the further north you go in Japan, the heavier the snow gets, and in the mountains, of course, there's always snow. Hey K5, thanks for watching. Yeah, so just that weird kind of hovering above freezing all season is winter here. But then if you go into the mountains, there's good skiing and things in Japan. All right, another warm-up box. I gotta come up with something else to draw besides a box for warm-up. Maybe I'll do the when I was doing shows and signing books and things, I always did the cup, the kind of fast food drink cup. That was always my always by my signature, because it was the thing I could draw the fastest, and it's kind of like one of the very first things I did for the cartoon. Actually, a lot of it was more kind of, I don't know, kitchen table kind of stuff. There's, salt and pepper and sugar bowls and that sort of thing. But this cup just became something that I could do quick enough or reliably enough, because it had to be simple because I had to draw it a lot. So this, and I think I even drew this on the outside of the Hyphonics box that I sent, which I hope is there. I hope he's getting a down trees. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's a with the typhoons here, we get a lot of that too. And because of the earthquakes, they have everything above ground, so there's no buried power lines or anything. I think the only thing underground is gas lines. And of course, because I couldn't imagine hanging gas lines from poles, but the only thing buried are gas lines and sewer. So you get a lot of down trees, which takes down power lines, so phone and power go out a lot. So when you see the Japanese typhoons, that's the biggest thing, is people's power goes out. And a lot of the wiring and stuff is pretty old. Yeah, for the longest time, Japan was really far behind with internet speed. Their internet was garbage for a long time. Oh, the heaviest I've felt, and I've been here almost 10 years, so I felt I wasn't here for the big Kobe quake, but I was here for the Fukushima, the Tohoku, the one that caused the nuclear power problem. I was here for that, but my house is very western Japan, and it's on the side of a mountain, so it's all kind of volcanic rock here. So unless it's the right kind of perfect position, I don't feel it in a lot of cases. So the whole country or the whole main island felt that earthquake, but it wasn't anything when I was at home, because it was, I forget the timing for that, but yeah, didn't feel that at all. I felt a couple of the There was a Kobe, a more mild Kobe quake, and a maybe Kumamoto, which is kind of even further east, and didn't feel either of those, but those were both in the like 6, or the smaller ones. I think were only 6. I can't remember, but and that's the funny thing too, is they use a slightly different scale, the Richter scale, which I don't think it's the Richter scale here. It's probably the whatever, the Fujiwara scale, whatever it is. They have a different scale that they use here, so they give you a number, and you're like, wow, that sounds high or low, but it doesn't give you any. It's different from what they report in Los Angeles. But just had some, didn't really even have much fall over as far as like books on shelves or anything. I had much worse earthquakes in Los Angeles, where things got broken, and I went to school. I went to Cal Arts in Valencia, so kind of north of LA. And so before I went, I toured the school, and the basement is the kind of photo department. So all the dark rooms and studios and everything are down there. And they had the huge earthquake near Valencia maybe 5 years or so before. And I guess the entire school had just collapsed. So it happened at like 4 a.m, 3 a.m. So I don't think there was anybody there. Maybe there was staff of some kind. But there was nobody in the basement as far as they're willing to talk about, and the whole school just kind of dropped one floor down in the basement, so the basement was completely crushed. So as we're walking around, it's just that they rebuilt it, and it's all just like cinder block walls underground. But that was really creepy to walk around down there and realize that the last major earthquake, and I'm sure they built it better this time, because I think that school was originally built in the 60s. It was kind of the Disney farm school. They built it to kind of educate the new generation of animators, and we kind of got that reputation. So the character animation department was amazing as far as its connections to the industry, and then they've got some really good teachers for their kind of technology and experimental animation as well. But it kind of it's earned I think a bad reputation because of what they call the Cal Arts Mafia in animation. So when trends and styles start, everybody, a lot of it comes from people that graduated from that school that start those styles, or they categorize some people's individual styles as Cal Arts styles. And when things become popular, like stuff that looks like Steven Universe, or I'm trying to think of but the big kind of sausage mouth smile kind of stuff, for a while they were calling that a Cal Arts style. And people do, in the character animation department, people do tend to draw very similar. And I don't know if that's just they think it's like an industry pleasing style, but in the experimental department that I was in, everyone, it was more art based, more fine art based, so everybody had their own unique style. But but being there after knowing that they completely lost a floor of the school was pretty eerie. But because I'm glad we weren't walking on the graves of any grad students that were staying up late to work on their thesis. But but haven't been in anything major. I've kind of missed everything. And the funny thing about Los Angeles, I don't think it happens in Japan, but the thing that happens in Los Angeles is after a big quake, then the housing market kind of drops and people flee the city, because if you're a transplant and you came from the Midwest or someplace where there's not regular earthquakes, it's pretty shocking, and you don't want to have to go through that again. So a lot of people leave. So there's a little bit of a flight, and I think that's the problem that they're having a little bit now is the opposite. There hasn't been a major earthquake in so long that LA is continuing to sprawl, and they don't know how to get water and electricity to all those people that want to live there. But as soon as there is another kind of a, what was that, Northridge size earthquake, which when I first moved there were still houses that were all falling apart from that quake. Like there's people that just, there's a problem or a delay with insurance. They can't live in a house that's completely fallen down, so they just abandon houses. So you go into neighborhoods where there's just broken houses sitting there, and sometimes they'll list them. So when we were looking at houses, we saw a couple. There was one, I don't know, kind of 70s style house that had a fireplace in the center with a chimney going up to the ceiling that had completely collapsed. So there was just a patched hole in the roof and some bricks sitting on a piece of bare cement in the middle of this, like, the great room or whatever that was. So at one time there was a fireplace and chimney, and they list it like that because there's no way to know if the market's going to come back enough to pay for any repairs. And now I'm just manically drawing cups. There's no way to know if you're going to get that money back for doing those repairs. So you have a lot of weird broken stuff, and that makes it really hard for buying those houses because the inspectors have to look at everything and kind of give you a realistic idea of what the value is and what things are going to cost you. So to actually make it more livable. But anyhow, yeah, that's a I think uniquely earthquake based area or based phenomena, but I don't think that happens the same way in Japan. And also in most of Asia, the home ownership is not a priority and pretty low. So people would prefer to live conveniently close to their job and don't mind smaller living spaces because the houses are small here. I mean, for the most part, they've started to try to build, I think starting in the 2000s, they started to build kind of McMansions in the areas where people sold like their little rice fields or their tea fields. Outside of Kyoto, I think mostly they sold land, and so they did developments that look a little bit more like the American, like 2-car garages, which is like, what for Japan? And the kind of big doors, big doorways, the really tall front doors, and then that entryway, like right into a staircase. So, it depends. It's not quite apples to apples. The real estate market here is kind of strange because Japan was in a big economic bubble, like in the 80s and halfway into the 90s until like 94, 95. Things were just insane. Like everything was so expensive, but everybody was so rich that it didn't matter. So many people built houses and bought houses that, would have been like $1 million houses, and then after the recession hit, or that kind of recession and then stagnation, everybody was upside down in their houses. So the real estate market really fell apart, and especially in kind of richer areas, people invested so much money in these like status homes, and they just became completely unsellable and upside down. So you can get. It depends. Like if you get a house in the countryside or you build in the countryside, it's going to be pretty cheap. It's going to be the equivalent of finding like a Midwestern suburb kind of prices, but you don't have the school districts, schools are okay. The, public schools are okay. So if you're doing it, so you probably need, it's really hard because the houses are so small. Houses are smaller and very different. So like a 4-bedroom house is pretty rare, and the 4 bedrooms are going to be tiny. They measure. The funny thing is they measure things. They still do. They do metric dimensions, of course, as well. But they measure things or kind of build things by tatami mats, and a tatami mat is kind of a standard size where a very tiny person. It's like about a meter. So like a yard by about like 3.5 feet wide. So it's if you've ever seen a picture of a Japanese house or whatever, it's that kind of maybe a little bit more than a meter, but it's like the space that one person needs. So it's how many people could like kind of sleep in a single room. And so there's like 4, 6, and 8 mat rooms are kind of standard sizes. And that's pretty tiny. Let's get rid of this. So 8 is, 8 is probably an average size room in the US. But, the scale of everything is very different. And the construction methods and stuff are very different too. If you actually have a house built, it's all wood. They do like total wood construction, and it's just amazing. And they use this really fragrant cedar wood because called hinoki, because the bugs don't eat it. So if they have any termites or anything, they're not going to be interested. As long as the wood stays fragrant, which is for many years, the bugs kind of stay away from it, or they don't like that wood. So they have less damage from natural causes. And so the building sites of the wooden houses smell amazing. They have this like really aromatic, interesting smell that's very unique to, I think, Japanese construction. But a lot of the prefab stuff, of course, is creeping in because they can put a house up in like 3 weeks if they just lay the foundation and then just bring the pieces in and put it together. So if it's like a standard kind of kit house, which a lot of it is because there's a lot of big construction companies, that's happening a lot now too. And so you could, depending, like, because they say like Shanghai or Beijing in China can be both the most expensive cities in the world to live in and also the cheapest. It just depends on how you want to live. Because if you're going to live like very small Chinese style and just eat noodles and fishball soup and live in a, 2 meter by 2 meter single room, you can live insanely cheap. And the same thing is kind of true in Japan. You can build, if you build or live in the countryside, you can get really cheap rents. And but then you're an hour train ride if you're going into a major city, or if your university is in a city or whatever. You have a lot of distance to cover for your commute, and the trains can be pretty crowded from those kind of areas. But then you get into the city like Tokyo. It's more like New York, where all of the apartments are crazy tiny, and they even took tiny apartments and split them in half, to make more apartments. So you can have really, really small, almost unlivable, kind of tiny Asian-sized apartments that you're paying, if they're in a nice location, you're paying kind of New York prices for it, thousands of dollars. I don't have any friends living in apartments anymore in Tokyo, so I don't know kind of current prices. But it's very New York style, and also you can't build, so you're buying, existing stuff, and that's going to be expensive because, after the bubble and the housing market collapsed, people still want to sell those houses for those prices. Like they still have, and especially if like it was owned by an older family member and they died, and now it's just owned by the family, they still have that number in their head. They still have this idea that this is going to be worth millions, and if we sell this is gonna, this is going to be a huge profit, and that's just not true anymore. But a lot of families don't want to let go of that, so you have a lot of places just kind of sitting, waiting for someone that can actually pay that crazy price. And unfortunately, in some cases, it ends up being Chinese. That's a thing that I've heard a lot. Is a lot of the fun of tourism for the Chinese is not only to make like import-export business deals while they're on vacation, but also look for properties. And there are some way overpriced properties that have just been sitting on the market forever because of that kind of deflation situation where the house is not worth nearly what it was, and in like half, it's like literally like as half the value in some situations, because it just depends on location, just like everything else. But yeah, there's multi-million-dollar house, and there's like multi-million-dollar penthouse apartments, just like very Manhattan style. But it's a situation here where there's just, unless you go very far away from the city, there's just no room to build anymore. Or you're converting a lot that used to be a paid parking lot, or you're converting if you're building in the city, you're converting like an old ramen shop into a house or something. There's a lot of weird stuff, and I don't know zoning laws here. Not sure how you have to deal with that, because I know that can be a real pain in the U.S. as far as building is. If you're not zoned for residential, you can't build some place to live, and people get into that situation. Now I'm drawing a big bucket, but it's a very different thing. I've got a friend that just got approved for a mortgage here, and so I'm wondering what size mortgage. That's always, Americans are a little more private about their situations, but I'm really curious about what they're building and what he's in for. And I think for foreigners, if you can, it's good to build here, because the scale of everything, especially old houses, is very small. Like some doorways are like 5 foot something, so it's pretty difficult to. Depending on your size, it's pretty difficult to live. Yeah, there's not, as far as exotic sports cars, there's, you see the occasional Tesla, and so, rich Japanese are still rich Japanese, and they make crazy purchases. So you'll see like the Lotus or the, Ferrari or Lamborghini occasionally in certain areas. And it's in really weird, surprising areas where it's not the super rich area, but it's where kind of good families have lived for a while, and so maybe one of the family members decides that's what they're going to spend money on. So, and you'll see the occasional like Hummer or big American SUV, but they're pretty inconvenient here because it's the opposite side driving. So if you import the car, you're always on the wrong side for the paying the fare on the highway or any drive-through or anything. So it's a little bit inconvenient, and the gas prices are crazy here. So keeping an SUV full of gas has to be, when you fill it up, it has to be like $400. I can't even imagine what a full tank costs in Japan, because the gas is priced by the liter, and was it 4 liters in a gallon? So yeah, if you take whatever the price is and quadruple it, that's what it costs. But still, they're a huge car culture here, and but it's not super common. I would say maybe not every day, but at least once a week I'll see like an amazing sports car, something exotic, because there's some rich kid or some someone going through a middle-age crisis, and they have a lot of disposable income, so they'll buy something crazy and then drive it around the city. Yeah, I think on my Instagram, I forget what it was, if it was a Ferrari or whatever, but somebody had the wheels, and the wheels were a pentagram. It's like a 5-pointed star, but the way that it was, I don't know if the way it was parked or it was an intentional design, but it was like the wheels were pentagrams. So I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know if maybe from an Asian perspective, that's not a weird symbol for your car wheels to have, but they had some custom wheels on it that were hailing Satan. But there's definitely and maybe in Tokyo a little bit more, because it's just it's just a different scale, and people want to get noticed and impress. So there'll be a lot more exotic cars in the cities, just like in the U.S. People will drive in the cities. I can't imagine like leaving that car to a valet or something, like leaving it in an insanely expensive car, or what the situation is. I'm sure it's a little bit better here, but I couldn't imagine that. Because I even remember in Los Angeles, any of the shopping areas with their giant parking places, if you go way out, like to the farthest ends of the farthest extent of the parking lot, that's where you see all the expensive cars, and they'll be parked across like 2 spaces or whatever to not let anybody park next to them. So they'll, instead of getting their door nicked by damaged by a Honda Civic, they just do the walk. Okay, I got to stop drawing cups. I don't know what I'm doing this for. But yeah, that's a thing I remember from LA is. So, and it's probably people that, can barely afford those cars anyhow if they're parking them that far away, and especially if they don't live in Malibu or any place with serious money. All right. Oh, he shaved his head. Oh, yeah, I heard the stream where he was talking about that. Yeah, it's got it where he's going to go. Where he was thinking it's got to go. Yeah, I hope I'm never faced with that decision. I don't think I've got a head that will shave well. Wow, that's crazy. I'll have to take a look at that in the archive. Wow. All right. Let me just check and make sure everything's still streaming. Yeah, sorry about the camera. I keep moving around. Oh, cool. Nice. Oh, yeah. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. I know it might be more exciting things going on elsewhere, but that's great. I really appreciate people stopping by. And of course, yeah, questions are great. Questions are really fun, because otherwise I'll just ramble endlessly about whatever happens to be going on. But there's been a lot of talk. I think this the kind of coronavirus situation is going to show us in Japan how similar the Japanese government is to the Chinese government, or this will be a test, to test how transparent and kind of flexible they can be, because it's a huge point of pride now for Tokyo to put these Olympics on, and people were already still worried about, well, how radioactive is the Fukushima area, because that's not close, but it's in the relative vicinity of Tokyo. So people were still having questions about that, which the government's never really answered. And now with kind of untraceable clusters of corona happening all over the world, and kind of Japan's not handling the cruise ship situation in Yokohama very well, like not handling quarantine procedures or according. There was a doctor that posted about this, I think from Kobe University, that was saying that this is handled poorly. They didn't manage like green zones and red zones well, and that's why everybody or not everybody, but many people were infected on the cruise ship, and Japan just wasn't doing a good job of this and keeping things a little quiet, because they don't want it to look bad, because they're still so worried about people backing out of the Olympics if this thing lasts all year, like some people have suspected that it's gonna kind of be coming and going for the rest of the year. But so they can't have that situation happening. But also, though, I think if it travels like a flu, as soon as it gets warm and wet here, the transmission is gonna stop. It's just that it's cold and dry in a lot of places, so that makes it really easy for flu symptoms or flus to be transmitted. But people don't even know exactly what they're dealing with, it sounds like. Look at all these cups. Okay, but so this will be a real test of the government to not be a typical Asian government trying to control and hide everything. And we'll have to see. And this might mean a drop in popularity of the current prime minister, because he's been in office forever now. And if this isn't handled well, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But people do get, shut down or quiet. The doctor that did a video complaining about I think it was a video, video or some kind of social media post about the mishandling of that cruise ship, took everything down that he posted. So, somebody might have leaned on him, or, because the government can talk to your university, and your university can talk to you and say, if you really like this job, please stop criticizing the government. So it's different. It's a real different feel from the U.S. You get really spoiled in the U.S. especially about how critical you can be of your own government, and not realize that you do that in other countries, and people knock on your door and want to know what you know and what your motivations are for your anti-government sentiments. But so that's not a happy thing to have to deal with. Okay, if I make that straw smaller. Okay, maybe something like that will work if we're going to talk extra large. I don't know if I want that giant straw though, so let me duplicate this and edit this one. But yeah, so we don't know kind of the situation, but as secretive as Japan was about their nuclear disaster, I can't imagine that they're going to be as good as they should be about letting people know, because it's saving face, and that's an interesting thing in another kind of cultural difference in Asia that it's hard to get used to, is the idea of reputation and honor. Your honor, because it used to be that in social situations, and this is probably just ceremonial or decorative, but when women wore kimono, they would wear a small knife, it was a decorative knife stuck in the obi, the kind of big thick belt kind of fabric wrapped around their waist. They would wear a decorative knife in the obi, and the idea was, if anything dishonorable happened, if they were shamed socially in whatever public event, that they could kill themselves with that knife. So it wasn't, and that may just be purely symbolic, but that idea is pretty deep in Asia, and you see that with Chinese communism. They're all about protecting their image, and the government maintaining its perfect presence, or perfect appearance for the citizens. And so that's a very different, because that's not a thing that is worried about so much in America. But so that's the idea of honor, and that did exist. The ritual suicide did exist in Japan, because it was better to have it was better to for your family's name, for you to preserve your family's name, because it's something that goes from many generations. Like my wife's family, the house that they're in now, it's the seventh generation of the family that's lived there. So they lived there forever. They lived through the bombings in World War II and everything. Family name, it's a whole different thing, because like the paperwork you have, like your household paperwork in your family, is basically a family tree. It's a document that is just your family tree. And so your name and who becomes part of your family and everything is very, very important. It doesn't have as much meaning as it did previously, but that name, protecting the name of your family, it's a reputation. And so you still see that with companies. They'll have, if a car company gets caught like cheating on safety, or there's some kind of scandal, some money scandal or something in company, there'll be a big public apology where the heads of the company will stand at one of those press conference tables, and they'll do that long, deep bow. And that's just to save face, and to try to repair, any damage to their corporate reputation. But that used to be on a personal level, like your family name was what you had to protect. And that's the thing. I don't know so much about it, but that's an interesting thing about kind of pre-war Japan, is one thing that benefited Japan a lot, and I think what helped their boom in the 80s quite a lot, or I guess starting in the 60s, was the kind of elimination or the hold that the zaibatsu had on the kind of business in the country of Japan. And zaibatsu are family-owned, basically corporations, like mega businesses that are family-owned. And so there still are people in charge. I mean, I think it much more strictly exists in like South Korea. Like the family members are the heads of, Samsung and everything. Those are still family run and family controlled. But so, Toyota, Suzuki, these are all family names. And so the actual members of that family owned the businesses, and they had relationships with the government that meant that, they could eliminate competition. They could they could dominate markets and have zero accountability because they had status and connection. And so the kind of undermining of that, the kind of restructuring and rebuilding of Japanese business after the war took away a lot of the power. So those names existed, and still they were more structured in a Western business way, and I think that undermined a lot of the power of those super rich families that created these businesses that were unassailable. If they killed people with their shoddy cars or poisoned people with their contaminated food, there was not consequences because they were so powerful, they were so connected. And now it's a bit of a different situation. There's more accountability, and the companies will be in trouble, and they have they'll have shareholders and things. So it's a different. Well, it'll be a different situation. I don't know a lot about it. It's just something that I've heard a little bit about, and something that's very evident when you see all the companies that are just Japanese family names. It's all because they started as big businesses, and they still exist now. It's just in a little bit different form. But I believe Korea still has that situation pretty badly, and that's why their companies can misbehave a lot more than they should be able to do. They can fire you at 40 just because they want younger people in there, and then there's only a few big companies in Korea, so you're kind of forced to, if you want to continue a career, leave the country because no one's going to hire a 40-something employee that was let go from Samsung or whichever Daewoo, whatever. I can't think of the Daewoo. I can't think of the Korean car company names. It's been so long since I've seen a Korean car. Because there's not, and that's the funny thing too. It's a little bit difficult to get. It's gotten better, but it was when Samsung was starting to make really good phones, really good smartphones. It was hard to find them, but it's gotten better because some of the carriers, I think, have some Korean investment. Mental homelessness. Yeah. Homelessness in Japan is really interesting. It's not a huge population because I think the weather makes it difficult. I mean, unless you're in Okinawa, I think it can be pretty miserable and harsh. But a lot of homeless are kind of left alone, and they I've seen this in kind of the downtown. Every night, the stores will put out their trash, and they put out big boxes, like the big shipping boxes that had the big boxes that are full of other small boxes that are the inventory or whatever. So they'll bind up these big bundles of cardboard and put them outside the shops, clothing shops, and whoever has the biggest, strongest boxes. And there'll be a bunch of homeless guys with these big knives, not illegally big knives, but they'll have these certain kind of knives that they will cut apart the bundles and pick their bedroom for the night. And so they'll find pieces of this cardboard, and then they'll just go into it's just areas that they figure they'll be left alone. And they build these little, kind of cardboard houses for the night. And you see a lot of the blue blue plastic tarp as well for, I guess, for waterproofing. But you'll just see these guys that obviously haven't bathed in a long time, but they'll just be collecting heavy cardboard, and they just go build a little shelter for the night. And it's pretty common scene if you're there, and things close pretty early in the kind of shopping areas. If you're in any of the arcade areas and they put the big metal shutter down and then they put their trash in front of that, you'll see homeless guys kind of collecting the best and kind of heaviest cardboard and building someplace to stay out of the weather at night. But I don't. There's definitely homelessness. There's no panhandling. So the only people you see asking for money are Buddhist monks. So there'll occasionally be a monk with one of the kind of bowls, the metal bowls that's just praying outside a train station. Sometimes I've seen that in Osaka, and but that's basically collecting for the temple, collecting for the religion. It's not like a personal thing. But I've seen that. But there is no panhandling, so people don't come after you. People don't chase you down, ask you for a quarter, ask you for $1.25, or all that kind of random stuff. You don't have any of the gas cons, where it's like, oh, I ran out of gas, and can you just give me some money to buy some gas? My family's waiting in the car. You don't have any of that kind of stuff at gas stations because it's culturally it's shameful to ask for help in that way, and you would never ask a stranger, and because you're losing face, you're losing respect, and so there's strange stories. So even the of course there are people that are on kind of public assistance in Japan, and definitely people that have like mental issues and things need that kind of support, but families that just come upon hard times, like there was a story of a son and his elderly parents that they just slowly starved to death in their house because they were too proud to ask for public assistance, and they were totally out of money. They had no way to do anything, and the parents were too sick for the son to work, so he just stayed at home and took care of them, and they just all slowly starved to death. It's really, really, you respect that kind of self-honor and self-respect, but oh my God, it's, at some point you have to get a little bit humble and, ask for help if it means the lives of your families. Holy crap. But so there isn't panhandling. The only people that have asked me for money in Japan have been other foreigners. They'll come up to me and be, hey, where are you from? And then like, can I have like $5? That's amazing. So culturally very different. People won't do that. And there's no, there's musicians, like there'll be people that are singing or playing guitar. And I guess you can donate to them, but they're mostly just doing it to get their music out there, and they'll sell CDs. They'll mostly be kind of selling CDs. Yeah. That's, I think that pride's important. It creates a better kind of public space. And so many people take advantage of that because I think in America too, you have such conspicuous consumption and people that do things that they know, this is disposable income. I'm just throwing money away and I'm buying something that I don't need. And then you walk by a homeless person, or a person that appears to be homeless, like sitting on the ground, and with a dog or something to get even more sympathy, and you feel guilty and you give them money. And I think that's a uniquely kind of Western thing, and a lot of those people, that's their profession because they figured out they can take advantage of guilty people that just have winner's guilt. I don't know, people that have success and or have extra money, and then they feel guilty when they see somebody that doesn't. And instead of, and I guess because you feel like, well, you must be doing good because you're putting money directly in the hands of somebody that obviously needs it from their appearance, but you have really no idea how much of a con that is, and it must feel better than giving to a charity, even though that's tax deductible. You can give to a charity, but you don't actually see the direct results. But I just love, like when I lived in Chicago, I love people trying to give food to homeless people. And I don't want your fucking food. I don't want your sandwich. I want money because they want to get drunk or they want to get high. They want to forget about their situation. They don't want to have some sandwich that's probably going to make them sick because they haven't had a decent meal in so long. But it doesn't exist in the same way here. But there is mental illness. I don't know. I'm kind of critical of Japan's attitude towards mental illness, and that's why you have the situations like the train jumpers, like you have people jumping in front of trains, is because people don't deal with their depression, and depression is just a weakness. Like you're not strong enough. You should be able to, by your pure force of will, overcome any mental obstacle, and so they don't diagnose mental illness the way that they probably should here. And so you do have people that are a bit odd, but functional. There's a lot of people that are functional, but just people that behave strangely. And I think it's a little bit shameful. Things like the J-pop, like AKB 40, however many, 48, the idol groups that are a million girls, and they have those contests where you're voting for your favorite girl, and the ballots are either in the CDs or it's based on the number of CDs that they sell with the individual members on the front of the CD or whatever. And so you have people spending thousands of dollars, caught up in this. They have a particular member of a group that they like, and that's just taking advantage of mental illness. And I'm not sure it exists quite as strongly as it did, but you would have, when those votes would happen, or there was also coupons for events, like you had to collect coupons and then you could go to like a handshake event, which are pretty creepy as well in J-pop. But so however many CDs you bought raised your chances of finding these coupons or voting for your favorite idol. And so then trash day during those weeks would just be cases and cases of these CDs just out in the trash, because all they wanted was the ticket or the coupon or to count it for the voting. They don't want 10,000 of the same song, CD, single CD or whatever. And even the recycled, the used CD shops don't want them, because they're basically just this refuse everywhere. And it also totally ruins their their rating, their charts, their music charts, like sales charts in Japan, because it's all dominated by these idol bands' music, because people are just buying, insane numbers of these CDs just for the voting or just for the coupons or whatever that are inside, and it doesn't actually represent music sales or music fans. I mean, it represents insane music fans. But Japan kind of takes advantage of the kind of mentally ill in that way. Oh. Yeah. The with train jumpers, the schedules. I mean, if a train in Japan is 2 minutes late, you get really worried that something terrible happened, because they're very rarely late. They're like within seconds usually of the correct schedule. And they started doing a thing in Tokyo. I've heard they started putting rubber wheels or like soft wheels on the very front of the cars. So the front of the train where you would be jumping has rubberized wheels or softer wheels, so they don't cut your body up, because that's the thing that happens if you jump in front of the train and it doesn't kill you. It probably takes limbs off, because the metal wheels on the track just act like a cutting device, like a rolling cutter. And so they started putting softer wheels on the front of the trains so people might survive. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. That's just crazy that's a thing. But putting softer wheels on the front of the trains so there's less damage if the person survives. And the other thing they started doing is, per minute of delay, they charge your surviving family like $10,000 or something a minute, because it does have such an impact on so many people's lives. And it does mean, work schedules and companies can actually have to start meetings late or have to cancel things or, whatever. It disrupts the work schedule so much, and that's a huge priority here. So they, send your family a bill. So you jump in front of the train, you get cut up, you're just a armless, legless, surviving torso, and then your family gets a huge bill. It's just insane. I mean, the things could go so completely wrong for that. I can't believe it's still a popular way to go. But yeah. I've seen, I saw the front. A student, one of the universities that I do some workshops at, somebody jumped one of the mornings, and it was sad because it was right after the entrance, it was right after the timing of, obviously they failed a test or something, and just lost it from the stress. And they jumped at the station, and I just saw the whole front of the train windshield just all spiderweb, just all caved in, and they just left it parked there while they were sorting out everything else. And so you'll know there's something terrible going on in Japan because they'll put black tarps up, and you'll know they're like carrying body parts or hosing down tracks or whatever. But it's still amazing how fast they'll get stuff back up and running. Yeah, it's really crazy. I was on a train once where I think an old man walked off like accidentally when there's many platforms that don't have any sort of railing or protection or gates or anything. And I think just an older, maybe a little senile or a little dementia, walked off the platform and was like really shocked that he was down there, and a train came, but it was stopping. So it wasn't high speed. It was pulling in, but he was in a weird situation and didn't know how to get out of the way. And so he got pinned, like slowly pinned. And so he was still talking, but I think very injured. And so we were sitting on the train, like listening to the conversation between him and the staff. And I'm not sure like what the final results were, but yeah, sorry, this is getting so dark. Sorry. Okay, enough of that. But there's some crazy stuff. And I also saw one more dark story. I was taking the train at night, and there'd just been a delay. I was coming home on one of the last trains, and there were people that were being held on the platform, and the train staff was interviewing them. And so obviously some people had been eyewitnesses to a jumper. And I saw somebody like pantomiming, like showing the train staff like what they saw, and like pantomiming the jumping motion off the platform. Is just that was really, really depressing. But see, that's what happens when you don't deal with mental health issues. And so yeah, because it's kind of the same. The theme, I guess, for today is saving face and the reputation and your honor. It's dishonorable and humiliating to admit that you have a mental disorder, or that something's going on, or you can't deal with your depression. And some friends of mine that went to university and got psychology degrees, after graduation, they wanted to set up their own practices and wanted to help because they knew about this situation, and they just wanted to help. They wanted to kind of change people's perception, and they just immediately went out of business and had to go into research because there's just people don't want to be seen going into or coming out of a therapist's office or any kind of psychologist, anything. They don't want to be seen doing that because then there's rumors and people will talk about it, and it can hurt your reputation and your family's reputation. So people just don't do it. And then there's also a weird kind of oh sweet yeah, this is Route 1. So you'll see some crazy stuff occasionally on this road, because this is one of the through the kind of center of this part of Osaka. Yeah, sometimes you'll see some interesting cars. You'll hear them more than you'll see them, or at least I do. But the thinking in Japan is that psychologists or psychiatrists are crazier than their patients. So you don't want to be one of those. You don't want to go to school and be one of those people, because everyone's just going to think you're more insane than your patients. And I've heard that, and from doctors and pharmacists and like people that know, the medical business, and they know drug therapy. They know that there's still a lot of, even though it's very hush hush, there's still a lot of medication prescribed for mental illness in Japan, even though people are very careful and very secretive about it. They know that exists, and they still have those weird attitudes where, you can't, therapists are crazy. They're crazier than their patients. And that kind of old thinking is, do you want me to angle more? I can't. The window itself that camera is on is kind of this odd curved window. So right now I have it taped on the glass. So it's the angle. It's a little bit more, parallel maybe than it should be. And I could like wedge something in there and angle it down a little bit more, but I can't like look down the road any better. So yeah, like maybe I'll try to angle it so you can see the near lanes a little bit better, because you don't need to see the buildings and the wires. So, but I'll put it down on the street. But yeah. If I take a break, let me give that a shot, because I think I can just stick something under the camera. But right now, I just wanted to get it closer to the glass so you're not seeing the safety wire in the glass. Yeah, I'll do that for you, K5 Square Body. I know that's something that is fun to watch. I'll try to get a better angle on that, and hopefully, as the weather gets better, you'll have a nicer view, a more sunny view. It looks pretty rotten out there, but yeah, I'll try to get that so it's like we're just watching traffic instead of across the street. Yeah, I just wanted to also the camera sometimes tries to focus on the wire and the glass, and so you get a soft focus on the outside. So I'll give that a shot. All right. Yeah, the Fast and the Furious movies in Japan, I think because maybe people don't know the word furious. They know fast, but they don't know the word furious. So they changed the title of Fast and the Furious in Japan to Wild Speed. So it's Wild Speed. Wild Speed, 1, 2, 3. So it's kind of confusing if you're trying to look up those movies on the internet, because the Japanese title is totally different. And they do that a lot. With kids' movies, they think the character's name needs to be in the title, like the main character's name. So when Disney started doing those one word, like Frozen and Tangled and stuff, Japan would just change the title to this character and this character. Like the titles of the movies just became the names of the major characters. But I think it's sorry. I think it's when words are not going to be common or recognizable or very difficult to say, they'll change the title to something more marketable. But the one thing that they didn't do that to, if you remember, this is probably like 7-8 years ago, the Tom Cruise movie. It was Tom Cruise and the comedian. I'm totally blanking, but he was like an assassin, and they were like in a cab. Like it was like the comedian was a cab driver, and Tom Cruise was like some assassin. He had like fake gray temples and his hair. But the name of the movie was Collateral. So there's a lot of R's and L's in that word, and it's not a word that any Japanese person knows. It's not a real common vocabulary word here, and so they just changed the title to the phonetic Japanese translation, and so nobody could say it, and nobody knew what it was. Like it was so many like aru eru sounds in a row that nobody could say it, and it was a really weird. I guess they weren't thinking or marketing it very hard. Yeah, right. That's right. They just started to abbreviate it. The movie titles to Fast. Yeah, Fast 9, Fast 5. Yeah. Wild Speed. Yeah, I love the they try to imitate the American the guy that kind of does the famously deep trailer, voices for the trailer, American movie trailers. There's a Japanese guy that kind of imitates that, so he does the Japanese version of that. So the very deep movie title reading here is pretty funny. But so that title thing can get really confusing if you're trying to say, oh, have you seen this movie? They're like, no, I don't recognize that title, but they have seen the movie. It was just called something else. So you got to go through the whole explanation of the plot and the cast. I'm totally blanking on the actor's name, but so some odd stuff like that happens. All right. Well, let's see. If I'm gonna draw, Oh, vehicles. Yeah, I'm not great at drawing cars. I think the only I think I've defaulted many times to 3D models if I've ever had to draw cars. Sure. I mean, it's going to be cartoony. Yeah, but I guess I could give something a shot. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to embarrass myself probably mostly trying to draw a car. But yeah, I never did I did like medical illustration and stuff in school, but I never did the technical, like the design stuff. There's one school in Pasadena in California that's really famous for the auto illustrations, like the technical illustrations for cars. You know, those really awesome angular aerodynamic like marker sketches and people do for concept things for cars. And yeah, never studied anything like that, so I'm not great at vehicles. Yeah, which definitely hurt when I was doing mobile game stuff. There was a lot of work doing, buildings and, tanks and trucks and things for mobile games, and I just kind of stayed away from it because I'm just not that way. Yeah, I didn't have enough technical technical drawing, I guess, is the best way to put it, or like, machine illustration. But yeah, you'll probably get a very Pixar looking car. Yeah, I don't know if I can get away with it. Maybe something that looks more rat fink than actually cool. All right, let's see. But yeah. Let's see. Got my big coffee today. Yeah, something like that. What are you thinking? What are you thinking, K5? I don't know if I'm going to do very well today, but I can give it a shot. Let's see. Oh, I haven't drawn these in a while. This used to be a mainstay. Oops. In this cartoon. Oof. Kind of the glass diner salt and pepper shakers. Haven't done that in a while. Yeah, there almost seemed, when I first started doing this cartoon, it almost seemed like there was going to be like a regular cast of characters. But it didn't happen that way. I just started kind of elaborating. And I think because if I would have tried anything too narrative, I would have run out of... let me see. Sorry about this camera. I would have run out of ideas and story too fast. Of course, it's not there. But yeah, just kind of coming up with just random inspiration, I think, helped the cartoon's longevity. Oh, yeah, yeah. All right. Oh, wow. I'll have to take a look at the... yeah, I'll have to look that up online. No, let me take a look at that and get back to you and see. Yeah, let you know if I can pull that off, because yeah, that would be fun. It'd be fun to try. So lowered K5 Blazer. I will take a look. At what we're dealing with, but that would be fun. No, that would be fun to try. And I can do a separate stream for that. That might be a fun thing to log in, and you can just watch me fail miserably at that. But that would be a fun thing to try. All right. Having trouble connecting lines here. Yeah, the pressure is a little weird today on the tablet. I had to turn the brush size up because the pressure is a little odd. Windows does not like the tablet driver on this thing. I think I have complained about that endlessly. I think on this stream, it's early on, it was really causing me a lot of trouble. Sometimes I couldn't even do the stream because I was having such weird problems. Because if you switch over to whatever is the Windows default, it doesn't have any of the levels of sensitivity. It's just for, you know, like a Surface tablet or something. It doesn't have anything near what the this actual tablet has. I don't know what that is. Oh, cool. I'll take a look. So what's your Instagram? K5. Oh, that's cool. All right. I think the microphone sounds a little noisy. I might have turned it up, yeah, because I was using the microphone for another recording, so like a group recording, so I turned it up a little bit, so sorry if I'm a little loud. Oh, cool. Okay, I will take a look at your Instagram and see if I can see what I can do. But yeah, I can do some sort of some sort of version of that. It'll definitely be fun to try. Sorry, let me take a second. Oh, there. Oh, cool. All right. So, let's see. I think I just glanced at the comments when I was setting up the website for the stream, and it looks like you guys got a lot of likes from your suggestions last week with the old computers, the old technologies, the limp cables and floppy disks got a lot of likes. So you guys are better at doing this than I am. I thought that was really funny, but yeah, I think that was a good That was good stuff. Hey, Plexus. Nice. Let me take a look. Yeah, I think that's working. All right, cool. Sweet. All right. Yeah, it's strange on the if I'm logged in on the website or whatever, sometimes it'll count that as a viewer. So sometimes I'm only watching myself. And I think that might be, yeah, because of the restream. But yeah, I got to figure out if it's worth it, if I should just pick a platform. I don't think much is going on. Yeah, I think the only person watching on Twitch is myself, is the website. So yeah, I think YouTube does better. But yeah, I've just been restreaming to both ever since I started doing this. Worried I was, missing out, but I don't think I'm not doing Twitch very well. So I don't think anything is happening there. And I think doing it once a week for Twitch is not enough at all to develop any sort of audience. I'm just lucky. Oh yeah, that's true. It's better for archiving. What was it though? I've noticed when you download, you get a better version if you archive a live stream and then download it. I think Twitch will give you a nicer resolution. I think YouTube sticks you with like 720, but Twitch will let you download. So I think that was one of the reasons, especially with the other website or the other stuff, the gaming stuff, the tabletop stuff. That's why I stuck with that, is because I got when we would do like an actual play, like stream a game session, I would download it from both, and the version that I got from Twitch was much nicer. So I could go back and sweeten the audio and kind of edit it and stuff, and it would be a better source. Oh yeah, no, I haven't taken a look at it either. And was even reluctant to do Twitch until I saw that it had there was a creative tag, and there were actually people doing drawing and like craft and even like miniature wargaming and stuff on Twitch. So yeah, but at first I thought it was only game streaming or kind of IRL stuff, but yeah, there was a lot more on there than I thought. But I haven't tapped into any of that. I'm not, my keywords are garbage, as people have pointed out on stream. My keywords on Twitch are just trash, so I gotta figure out something better. But yeah, I should take a look. So are they is DLive or Mixer, are they specific to like any type of live streaming? Is it still gaming, or is it, oh wait, is Mixer the one that bought Ninja? So Mixer is like Amazon or Google or somebody, and they bought they bought one of the big they bought off one of the big Twitch streamers. But yeah, no, I should definitely take a look at my options, because yeah, it would be good to actually find as much of an audience as I can. And I just think with the time difference and stuff, I probably should work on my right. Yeah, Microsoft. Mixer's Microsoft. Right. That's right. Yeah, I'll take a look at Mixer and see. But yeah, I know Twitch is still the monster. Yeah, Twitch is Amazon. That's right. Because I remember the tie-in with like Amazon Prime and Twitch Prime. But yeah, Microsoft, like, they just buy their way into stuff. I can't believe they bought Minecraft. That's still crazy. That's that's now a default installed Windows game is Minecraft. Yeah, that reminds me of the stuff they used to do in the 90s where they would, the functionality of, new functionality in Windows would just be whoever they bought, between versions, and they would just offer a new sticky notes on your screen because they bought a company that makes those. And yeah, they would just, instead of letting people make money developing third-party stuff, they would just buy it and make it part of Windows. So did the mod privileges carry over from once I did that in YouTube, you guys, every session, is it per stream, or is it like now you guys are mods for life? I don't know how it works, obviously. All right. Okay, well, I think we're looking at breakfast here. There's a huge sugar bowl. Wow, this is a very throwback strip if I do this. Let's see. Let's make this a little shorter. So does YouTube denies links? Yeah, I've got, yeah. Oh, cool. Oh, that's good. Oh, what a mess. All right, let's see if we can get this here. There we go. There. Nice and rough. All right. Oh, I see. Oh, that's cool. All right. Jose, is that question for me? So last time I was in the States was it was a while ago. It was maybe 4 years ago. Yeah, I think it's been about 4 years. We're planning to go this spring, but when the coronavirus stuff happened, decided to maybe take it easy. So I've got a daughter that has not spent a summer in America, so we were going to try to first do her spring break, and then it's going to turn into summer if everything calms down, because we're not looking forward to the huge crowds that are going to be here for the Olympics, so it might be a good time to not be in Japan. So yeah, this summer we were gonna, if things calm down, gonna go back. But it's been a while. Yeah, I was yeah, went back. Oh, and I'm gonna go for this year. Going to go for Gen Con as well, the big tabletop show in Indianapolis. I've never been there before, and been working on that tabletop podcast for a while, so I wanted to go and get our name out there and try to get some interviews and things with people. But yeah, that's like the so I've been to San Diego Comic-Con a lot when I was doing comics and animation and then doing my own stuff. I went to San Diego a lot because that was really easy from Los Angeles. It's really easy to do. But it very quickly, it changed a lot. Like once Hollywood started doing the, trying to tap into that geek market, and they were doing their superhero movies, I think starting with Iron Man. So around like 2007, it totally changed. Like the San Diego Con was all people lining up, or just only there for those panels, those big ballroom panels, and just wanted to get oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the thing. They're talking about that in the U.S. too, is the new cases are showing up at universities because there are so many Chinese students in the U.S. And yeah, it's just messed up. And I hate that, of course, in America, it's becoming racist to worry about Chinese students, bringing a deadly virus into your country. It just, everything is racist in the U.S. But yeah, that's I'm not looking forward to that. And that's I'd never felt that, because even when we were in L.A., my Japanese wife got called Chinese all the time because every Asian is Chinese. And so I'm sure she's very glad we don't live in the States now, because there'd probably be a lot of that. Every time you clear your throat, they're looking at you funny. And the allergy mask thing, the kind of surgical mask, is super popular here out of kind of politeness. Like if you're sick and you're going to be coughing or sneezing a lot, especially during allergy season, it helps to eliminate some of your pollen intake. But it's also polite, so you're not spreading anything if you're coughing a lot. So people mostly do it when they are sick here, or to prevent increased allergy, increased like pollen interaction during the allergy season. And but for Americans, it looks crazy. It looks like somebody's dying. And yeah. So the masks look scary. I mean, it just looks like, are you dying? Why would you possibly wear a mask unless you're, you've got the plague and you're worried about giving it to people here? So a lot of the Chinese students and people that are used to wearing masks, and it's just a proximity thing because you're on top of each other all the time, and that's a weird thing to get used to here, is people touching you all the time. Like there's no concept of personal space here in Asia in general. So people leaning against you or being next to you or coming into contact with you is not such a threatening or aggressive thing like it would be if you did that to somebody in the U.S. I think that's what makes pickpocketing easier to do here. But because trains get really crowded, things can, you can be in closer proximity to people a lot more. So the population density in that being more common is a big reason why people wear masks. It just became kind of a social habit. If you have something that could spread, to not spread it. Anytime you're going to be coughing or doing something where you can be putting something on somebody's, whatever, projecting things out, you can cover that up. But I don't know. That whole thing. Yeah, so it's been a while since I've been back in the States. I was in Okinawa last year, which was kind of like being in America because there's army bases everywhere, so it feels so much like the U.S. And most people there are from the U.S. So that was to use American money on the base. So I didn't have any change for people. I had to scrounge for ones. I had to go to currency exchanges and see if I could scrounge some dollar bills. But yeah, but I hope, like I'm saying, I'm thinking I'm going to Gen Con this year, but they just canceled PAX East in Boston and some other video game event. So if this virus thing doesn't settle down, maybe a lot of those big shows are going to be canceled this year, just because it's a lot of foreigners and it's a lot of people all in one closed space that has usually pretty terrible ventilation. Like most of those conference centers are terrible. They get super hot from those big crowds. So I may have to cancel that as well. I'm curious what they'll do for refunds, or what the policy will be. But we'll see. Actually, I don't want these. I'm making a mess. Yeah, if these are on, I'll draw this myself. Damn. All right. Okay, so I think we're kind of laid out. All right, so let's take a look at comments. Yeah. Economically, this couldn't be worse because, with everyone relying so heavily on China and China keeping a lot of offices closed and things, that's some scary stuff. That it could, and it could also expose how China isn't as economically successful as they're claiming they are, because this little interruption could be very huge. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm curious to see how this all plays out, because it just is not an option to pretend everything is okay and kind of, wait for thousands and thousands of people to be infected and then be angry. I think China was publicly, displeased with Australia and America for starting to limit flights and things. It's just insane. If you're not going to do something about it, then other people will. So that's crazy. Yeah, and Japan doesn't need any more. We just had that tax, the consumption tax increase the beginning of this year, or beginning of last year. Sorry, what did that happen in April? God damn. Yeah. So last year was kind of a bit of a recession, and then they had the emperor stepping down and everything. So Japan's a little bit in a weird situation, and they definitely don't need any more economic bad news. Things have been kind of bad since last year. All right, so that is that. So let me make this a little smaller. Bring it down. Look at this infinite me, and let's switch over to the comments real quick. There we go. Hey, I'm showing it all. There we go. Okay. So here is GoComics.com, and hey, look, they're already promoting the Far Side. So the Far Side is back online. I guess, is Gary Larson? He's going to go back and make new Far Side, but I guess Universal owns is the syndicator. So Farside.com is a thing. Yeah, I had a couple of people, I guess because it's a single panel gag cartoon, but I had a couple of people early on in insults saying this is the garbage Farside knockoff or whatever, and yeah, that was funny. I think his stuff has a very different feeling. There are people syndicated that are definitely ripping off his sense of humor and his style. I don't think I'm quite doing that, but yeah, so Farside is back. I hope he can still do it, because otherwise, yeah. So look at this, 16 likes, you guys, on your on me stealing your jokes. So yeah, at their age, life was mostly limp cables and floppy disks. So that's a lot of likes. That's much more than usually 8 to 10. So keep up the good suggestions. I've got no floppy disks, but I do have miles of cable that I've never connected to anything. Nice. All right, let's go back. So that was February 20th. So let's see what 18 is looking like. All right, nice and slow. I was right. We were just after Valentine's. So chocolates. He envied filled chocolates and their hidden, sometimes disturbing flavors. I was just thinking this evening that C's needs an app so their candies can be identified without some miscreant breaking them all open. Oh, wow. So this got, 12 and likes and 6 comments. Wow. Filled candy is making people comment like crazy here. Treacle. Don't let it be artificial anything flavor. I don't know if this still applies, but back in the day, you identified the contents by the swirl on top. Yeah, I think they still do that. Some shops have their own little symbol language of how they drizzle or whatever on the candy means it's filled with cherry or it's whatever. Yeah. If she's staring straight ahead and smiling, leave her alone. Is a chocolate coma. All right. Wow. Lots of people talking about filled candy. Yeah, I think that is a thing. And that's what I was trying to simulate in some of these. But yeah, they used to drizzle something on top, and that would be their symbol. All right. Oh, sorry, I'm missing the chat. Let me take a quick look. Oh, yeah. Chinese students in the U.S., yeah, they need, private universities need that. If they get any decrease in all that tuition, because I think a lot of, unlike American students, a lot of foreign students, I'm just specifically thinking of like Ivy League Chinese students, don't apply for financial aid. They want to pay the full price because that's the status. They're buying the Harvard brand to take home with them. And so that's been a huge benefit for universities. But I think also it's made the campus life a little more uncomfortable because you've got like entire libraries speaking Chinese and people on cell phones and people afraid to tell them to be quiet. All right. Yeah, I can see that having a big impact. The foreign students, they need that. All right, well, those were the two. Wow, the chocolates really hit. So let's try a random. Well, that's an old one. Look at that. Yeah, 2012. So every night he had the same work dream. Happy, happy, happy. It was just flavored water, and he does the job so well. I'd be more worried about having to sit on a hot plate all day. Ooh, yeah, that's right. Those big bun coffee makers that just burn that coffee. Oof. Oh, that's right. Your computer science, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Plexus. Yeah, right. Yeah, I heard from a MIT graduate that there are some courses taught by Chinese instructors at MIT where first day of class we give the introduction in English and then say in Chinese to the class, don't worry, by the end of the first week there will be nobody in here that speaks English, and we can only speak Chinese. We can just speak Chinese for the entire class. So they were so confident about the English-speaking students not being able to keep up with the Chinese instructor's curriculum or whatever that they would all just drop his class, and then they can all just speak Chinese for the rest of the semester. That's really depressing. Really, really depressing. All right. Well, we found one with comments. So one more random. It's more fun when they're mean. We got so much hate at the beginning. I think though they cleaned up this website. I think knocked off a lot of that. Oh, there's some thick lines. That looks, yeah, that's very digital. 2019. The hardest part of teaching dressing to be hardest part was teaching dressing to be served on the side. Ah, it's on top. That's why I like salad bars. I eliminate the middleman. All right, one more. Fishing for insults. 2011. Nothing. Balance inquiries often undermine both financial and self-worth. There we go. Some bread standing up. He was now starting to consider his slice replacement options. Becoming empty. Just leave the bag open. Have a nice thick layer of mold. And one more. I want mine replaced with a slice of pizza. All right. Well, no cruelty. Yeah, I thought that. Yeah. That's insane. I can't believe that universities employ people with terrible English. And that's a huge difference too. Let me switch on back to the drawing. That's a huge difference. Japanese people are very big perfectionists. And so a lot of Japanese are terrible English speakers, but they won't speak. They refuse to speak because they're embarrassed. But Chinese do not have any fear of speaking their terrible English. And they get employment talking that way. That's just crazy. I can't imagine, paying crazy American tuition and not being able to understand the instructor. That's crazy. Although, in Chicago, I had a first year, my studio drawing teacher, all his entire agenda, I think he was just a grad student I think for some of those first year introductory classes, they just employed grad students. But all he was trying to do is trying to get the female students to meet him at night somewhere, talking about, we should try night drawing. When you can't see what you're drawing, that's when, really interesting things come out. And he was just trying to talk all of these girls into meeting him somewhere in the park late at night. Ugh. That's money well spent. All right. Yeah, that's got to be crazy. Yeah. That's the thing that's got to be so frustrating is when you can study better, when you can self-study better and you're paying a tuition, or when you could teach the class and you're paying tuition for it. That stuff gets really frustrating. Yeah, there was somebody, I worked with a guy who went to one of those TV technical schools, like ITT Tech, or it was in LA, so it was one of those technical schools that had the infomercials all the time. And he said he and his friend that went there could have taught all of those classes and ended up doing so. When the teachers were absent, any of the replacements that they got were even worse than the standard teacher. So they were giving some heavy assistance. But I can't imagine. I mean, those, I don't think those schools are expensive, but you definitely don't get any value from that. I guess I should do a grayish cup too. There we go. Right, yeah, that's right. With computer science, it's all qualifications and being certified. Yeah, that really sucks. All right, a couple more colors here. That's a little dark. Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine. I thought art school was a scam, enough of a scam. I can't imagine. Oh, sorry. But it's good that, you know, you're at least getting certification and things that you couldn't get without. I think I'm just gonna blow this without actually having attended. All right. Okay, that's a little dark. Just a little off-white. Oops. Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Wow, that's insane. Yeah, that's great. No, that's not bad at all. And there's like, you know, predatory. I think they've tried to put a stop to that, but there's like predatory private loan companies in the US trying to you know, get students to take loans out that, you know, then they can collect on, because if it's federally, what is it called, federally funded or federally backed loans, they're not gonna they'll try to collect on it, and then actually they'll just give up and take it out of your Social Security. But it's a oh, that's right. No, that's the thing. It's you can't bankrupt them away, the federal loans, but they can be really aggressive with the private stuff for collecting, which I don't think they do with the federal loan. So yeah, in America, that's crazy. And I remember I even did the thing where I was taking out the maximum amount for the federal loan, because then you didn't have to work. You could live on some of that loan money. So I forget, like per semester, the maximum was like 8,500 or something, and the course was only 6,000 or something. So you'd have like extra. You take out the maximum amount because you get a little bit from you know, a little bit of deduction from scholarship, and then you could take out a full amount and then live off of some of that, so you didn't have to do part-time jobs and stuff where you're trying to be creative. But that didn't last for long. I ended up working part-time right away anyhow, because yeah, you could never offset that, especially when you're in a big city. Everything is so expensive. All right. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Where are you, Plexus? I know you've told me, and I totally forgot. But I'm guessing by let's see. There was something. Yeah. Oh, Australia. That's cool. That's great. I mean, you gotta make it affordable and reasonable to get a decent, especially a you know, tech education, you know, science, science and medicine and stuff. You got to make that qualified students. You got to make that as easy as possible for them, because you're kind of talking about the future of your country. And it's ridiculous that in the U.S. People get so buried in student loans, and then they have like a philosophy degree or a communications degree or something at the end of it. I mean, I should talk. I had a fine arts degree, but I didn't go insane. You know, I didn't go too crazy with the schooling, because even CalArts is a relatively cheap school, because I was looking at NYU originally, and that was much crazier, and plus the living expenses were crazy. But yeah, to come out of school with like almost 6 figures of debt, and you're not a doctor or a lawyer, that's insane. Because so many of those, well, even my master's program was a little bit screwy, because it was it was the kind of integrated media experimental animation, and they were just growing this, or just starting this integrated media. And so in the middle of it, I had already done 2 years, and they're like, well, actually, we were thinking this was a 3-year program. So if you wouldn't mind staying another year, we really want to, establish this as a 3-year program. It's complete bullshit. But it was just the politics at that school. But, yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm curious. I don't even know if that's actually still even a degree there. Oh, that sucks. I can imagine. Yeah. People abusing the system. Yeah. Every beneficial, any beneficial program, someone will figure out how to screw that. Like the in Scandinavia, the way that they support single moms generously, and then girls getting knocked up by their high school friends just so they can not have to ever, go to university or work. So right out of high school, if you've got a kid, you've got a decent enough paycheck to live off of. I don't know if that's still the case, but I remember there were a lot of complaints in the 80s and 90s about that system just being too generous. Hey, thank you very much. K5. Much appreciated. And I will take a look at your Instagram and see if I'm able to do a decent sketch. My style is more cartoony, but I should be able to do something fun. But yeah, I appreciate the questions and the hang. It's really nice to not feel as much like a crazy person talking to myself. All right. Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to find those friendly, more socialist countries where the schools aren't private businesses trying to screw you. Yeah, I don't know anybody. I know some people that went to school in Japan, but I don't have any friends that got degrees in Europe. I had like neighbors and stuff, but I didn't never talk to them like financially how it was. But it's got to be so much nicer on the other end of things. Oh yeah, one of the artists I work with, though, yeah, he went to art school in Paris. So I can't imagine that he got buried in debt from that. I mean, yeah, it's amazing how different it is. Is that a marsupial reference you're making, Jose? All right, let's do something different. Oh yeah, actually, for this, let's see. I was thinking that big 80s swoosh. See if it looks better. Yeah, something like that. Oh, wow, that's looking pretty broken. I guess it's okay. just really zoomed in. And then maybe white. I guess I should look for a reference. Maybe just that. Looks like DNA. That's not very 80s. I guess it could be kind of cinema. More cinema looking. All right. So variations on the large size. That's another culture shock thing here is no refills on drinks. And when they fill a glass or a cup up, it's like 2/3 of the way is a very standard way to fill a glass. And usually if they're just assuming that you're going to walk with it, but when it's a cup with a lid on it, there's no point in trying to make it easier to carry. But yeah, no refills. The only place that has free refills is Mr. Donut has kind of bottomless cups of coffee. But otherwise, yeah, free refills. And I think Taco Bell. But the weird thing about Taco Bell here is it's not Pepsi, it's Coca-Cola. It's their beverage distributor, so they don't have Mountain Dew or anything. It's Coke and some of the like tea and stuff that they do here. And I think Canada Dry ginger ale. So definitely different. But also, the first time I went to Taco Bell in Japan, it took 30 minutes for them to cook the food because they were so crowded. That was in a tourist area and it was really crowded. Nice. So you were pouch obsessed from birth. I think the pouches on marsupial animals, though, are real mucusy, like they're real wet and disgusting. I don't know. I'm not a zoologist, but I have that image for some reason. Yeah, there's the character, the children's character here, that blue cat, Doraemon. Doraemon is like a cat with no ears. So it's like a white face and stomach and then blue color, but it has no ears and it's afraid of mice because he's odd, but he's got a magical pocket that he can pull anything that he wants. He can pull out of this pocket. So I've heard so many people obsessed with that from childhood saying, I wish I had that pocket. Or he had some other like crazy devices, like a teleporting kind of door thing. And I didn't see it as a kid, but I've heard many Japanese talk about the things that they were obsessed with as kids because of Doraemon. Yeah. Economically, Japan is very strange. It's hard to know because they've been in, they've had deflation and they've had like kind of this economic stagnation for like 15 years now, where their growth is, they'll get a little bit of growth and then just lose it. And so everything stays about the same. The weird thing is there's not inflation here. So people have been at the same salary for like 10 years. Like they haven't gotten raises for like 10 years. And some people have even taken pay cuts to stay employed. And, but their workloads have gone up because the trick that companies love here is when you get a woman that leaves for maternity leave or whatever, just do not fill her position. And then that's profit. That's pure profit. So they do that a lot, and that's really stressful for employees. Yeah, so but kind of a really weird stagnation, and so they're really sensitive to the yen, any variation in the value of the yen, because they need, so many companies rely on exporting, that they need it to be low. They need the yen to be as low as possible, but they don't play I'm sure they do some sort of manipulation, but they don't do the same kind of just gratuitous kind of bold manipulation of their currency like they do in China to maintain that. But every time the yen gets strong, they start to freak out. A lot of the car companies and electronics companies are going to be posting losses because they're not as competitive than the as imports in other countries. They're not as competitive because now they're competing so much with Korea. But so that's a big economic concern, and they just had that. They were putting it off. They put it off for like 3 years, but they just had the rest of that 10% consumption tax. So basically, like sales tax. But their consumption tax rate went up to 10%. It was at 5% forever, and then they went up to 8%. And then they waited and waited and waited, and finally went up the additional 2% to a full 10%. So that made a lot of stuff bizarrely expensive. Like coffee at Starbucks is weirdly extra expensive now. It doesn't affect kind of staple things, food and stuff. It's more fast food and convenience stores and things that you don't need. You don't need to be buying. So food prices are still really affordable in Japan, even after the tax hike, because it didn't affect a lot of kind of essentials. But yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. That's I think Japan is going to use that same tactic as America, because their currency isn't based on gold. They can just, we need to make more money, let's start the printers. So they've got I think Japan is one of the most in debt countries now because of this long-term stagnation in the economy, but also an amazing labor force and very highly skilled employees and a very educated. The literacy rate and stuff in Japan is just crazy high compared to a lot of other countries. So that also means that they have to import a low skill workforce. So especially for I guess it's not a low skill workforce, but the elder care and things they're in trouble with, because people go to school to be doctors, not caretakers, and so they don't have a lot of domestic people to work those kind of jobs. So that's why they started the kind of enhanced visa program to make it easier for foreign workers to get into Japan. And there's some weird, it's like they're kind of manipulating it in a weird way, because they're encouraging you to like have a life here, but not a permanent one. It's very strange, because they're encouraging people to bring like foreign, their families here from foreign countries while they work, but it's not it could be a long-term thing, but it's not forever, and it's not going to give you citizenship or an improved residency status. So the only way to do that would be to marry a Japanese national, which I have a feeling some people might actually do. Oh, wow. Yeah. I'll take a look for kangaroo Jose. Oh, right, yeah. Australia's, got a lot of mining income. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Yeah, and I'm sure that, that fluctuates a lot. And I'm sure China is a big customer now, too, of the Australian mining industry. So that has to be good and bad in certain ways. Wow. Maybe down here. Maybe here. That's too small. Yeah, I gotta also remember that's why some of these lines look kind of thick and chunky, is because the actual size, that's the close to the actual size that the cartoon is online. So when I'm drawing it really close, I gotta remember not to do anything too small, or it just gets totally lost in the when it's shrunk down. Yeah. I've heard bad stories about some of the relationship between Australia and China. That there's a lot of real estate being bought up by Chinese, and also there was a student at a Australian university that it was just like some social media posting or something that was Chinese government. They were just at least critical of the Chinese government, and they had on faculty a professor who was a member of the Communist Party, and he called for the student to be arrested, or and threatened his being able to even stay at the university. It was just like seemed like way too much control for a foreign national to have at an Australian university. I don't know if you heard about that, but that was something I was listening to on a podcast. I was just amazed that China's influence. Oh, wow. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. Wow, I can't imagine. Yeah, public services being Chinese owned. That's crazy. I've heard Canada's got some problems too, that a lot of real estate in Toronto is being bought by Chinese investors, and it could be, they could just be preparing for the inevitable fleeing of the sinking ship. So people are trying to make, and I also heard rumors, this is really old stuff, but I heard rumors that there's apartment buildings in Los Angeles, like expensive condo buildings in Los Angeles that are all Chinese girlfriends kept by Communist Party members, or prominent businessmen or whatever, that need to keep their girlfriend offshore and then just give her a nice luxury life in the US and visit them whenever they can. But there's actually a building of condos that majority of the residents are all Chinese gumars, Chinese girlfriends, the mistress building of China. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if anything is true, but I think that's funny if it is. All right, so these look colored. All right. All right, so, well, let me see what, so I've got a couple of different options. Oh, yeah, no, I think I'll just go with the, that's right, the one that I posted about for convenience store. Ah, thank you. Thanks, Jose. Yeah, tried to do a variety of paper cups. Oh, actually, yeah, I usually do the sweat, too. Yeah, maybe I'll do that, because a couple of these are looking, are feeling a little blank. But this is the when I'm usually doing, if I can get this pressure sensitivity to cooperate, try to do some sweat, because always the paper cups. Yeah, I think that'll break up some of the pattern too. The paper cups have the condensation. Try to do a more natural look. Yeah, some of it's going to show up brighter on some than others. Let's see. All right. Yeah, this is the very standard thing I've done before. Maybe bring that white down a little bit. Let's see how it looks. So they look all sweaty. Yes, roller skating waiters. Yeah, the thick blue cup. Nice. All right. Okay, so let me switch over real quick to the convenience store segment. So hold on for just a minute. Oh, is that still going? Yeah, I think the chime. I'll have to double check that that's still there. Sorry, let me just check real quick. Might not let me change it. Yeah. There's another segment. Let's see. Oh, yeah, maybe the the chime. I have to look that back up. Maybe that file got moved. So usually when I switch over, the chime for the convenience store, the kind of electronic doorbell sound is going. So there we go. Okay. So this is stuff from the convenience store. So maybe I should go through and cut out all those pieces and do like a super cut of convenience store visits. But I think this is what inspired K5 to put together the box, because I was eating something particularly. Oh yeah, it was the squid. It was the vinegar plum squid that I was eating that maybe inspired the box that got sent to Hyphonics. But this is a little bit. I'm going to back off of the disgusting stuff, because I was grossing myself out. That pickled seaweed last week was terrible. So this is just the pokoro, like a little simulated baked potato. So Calbee does all kinds of potato snacks, mostly like potato sticks, and they're just flavored. They're kind of crunchy, and I think I talked about they love stick flavored snacks in Japan, like if you've seen Pocky or any of the Pretz or any of those long snacks, because girls look cute eating stick food. I guess that's the thinking. So these are just, so pokoro, so potato, the po comes from potato, and the koro means the kind of it rolls. So koro is the sound of something rolling. So they're just like little round potato, but they're simulating a baked potato. And the flavor here is a consommé. So consommé is like the French soup stock base, but it's mostly just the powdered chicken soup, like an instant chicken soup or like a powder. That's the flavor. It just tastes like a salty chicken stock, chicken flavor. So it's got a little Ziploc thing, so they must go stale really fast. Oh, and was there anything on the top? On the back, they were just talking about, consommé flavor, chicken. Yeah, it's chicken, and so kind of a chicken soup stock, and they're mouth sized. That's good. They're baked potatoes sized for your mouth. Oh, they just look like little hash browns. Yeah, not quite a simulated baked potato. It just looks like a tiny dried hash brown. Whoa, really salty, really chickeny. Yeah. So consommé, they're not messing around. It just tastes like a chicken snack, but the same consistency as those potato stick snacks in a koro rolling shape, a round shape, but it just tastes like a chicken flavored dried out hash brown. It's not bad, but it's like yeah, kind of individual pieces, so like a hash brown. Yeah, their image is more, I guess, just potato. Yeah, it is kind of hash brown potato, but very salty chicken flavor. Yeah, like a tiny dried hash brown potato flavored like chicken. I'm sure there's other flavors too. But pretty safe. Like this company, brand-wise, they don't do anything too disgusting as far as bizarre flavors. Maybe shrimp is the grossest, like, most surprising flavor for Americans. But yeah, most of them are very reasonable, just like onion or kind of like Pringles flavors. But yeah, these aren't bad. They're not too hard, and yeah, it is exactly like eating a very, very dry hash brown with chicken flavor. Yeah, it's kind of like at first from the packaging, I thought they were simulating, because I guess because of the way that they just illustrated them, they have like an edge, but it's more like a hash brown. But I thought they were going to have like a potato skin color or something on the bottom, because it looked like a baked potato. But the actual look is like a hash brown, like a very tiny hash brown that tastes like chicken. So yeah, not bad at all. And one of those new things, so it's probably gone after a few months. They do a lot of those experiments because people like to just try new things. So the companies are constantly doing new flavors and new versions of things, because they do everything potato. So there's a lot of potato chips and then the sticks and everything. Yeah. So I thought, before I opened them, I thought for sure it was going to be a little baked potato, but it's just the way that they rendered them on the package to put a little shadow underneath. They're more like tiny hash browns, but very salty, chickeny flavor. Yeah, I don't know how they do that, though, because it does just taste like potato, like how a hash brown is just diced potato all fried together. It does have that same consistency where there's like individual pieces of potato. And that's the good thing about Japanese snacks, is there's not a lot of simulated stuff. Mostly it's just they try to find a way to put the actual fruit or the actual vegetable into the product itself. Sometimes, they put like a consommé flavor or something on it that makes it taste a little strange. But it's usually real food, which is kind of surprising with all the kind of weird simulated snack flavors that you get in a lot of like U.S. snacks. But yeah, that's actually just potatoes. It's actually little tiny potatoes. All right. So if you're looking for some, and Pokoro, yeah. Is that I thought there was a Spanish kids character called Pokoro. No, maybe Pokuyo. Oh yeah, Pokuyo. Yeah, not Pokoro. But it's a rolling potato snack. So if you need a tiny simulated potato snack, there you go. Anything by Calbeep will be good. Yeah, Pokuyo is the Spanish kids character. All right. Anyhow, back to the writing part. There we go. You have to check and see what happened to the door chime, because I was assuming I would pause at the beginning of the convenience store segment, assuming that the door chime was going off. And if that file is now missing, then it won't be doing that. Yeah, but that'll, if you visit Family Mart in Japan and a few times and have heard that, you hear that chime several times, it'll be kind of nostalgic then, hearing that after, because that's such a sound of going into that store. All right. Oh boy, the writing part, yeah. This is the slow part. Let's see, how are we doing time-wise? Oh, wow. All right. You're welcome. Oh, it did work. Oh, thank you. So Plexus. Okay, good. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was working, because when I flipped over, I didn't see the sound on it. And when I went to search the file, it was in the wrong directory. So nice. I'm glad that's still working. Thanks for the confirmation. But yeah, that's I think National, which became Panasonic, is the company that wrote that. Or no, I have to double check my history on that. But a company wrote that doorbell chime, and then the convenience store, just out of cheapness, went to the hardware store and bought a door chime, like a motion sensor door chime, and put it in all their stores. And now those two are like, for all eternity associated. That little song and that brand, which wasn't intentional. I think it was just a matter of convenience. Convenience store, convenience. All right. Okay, so what are we doing here? Oh, actually, I should put something in the shaker. See, I'm already procrastinating. Yeah. Something needs to... There needs to be some kind of level here. And maybe some kind of texture. There we go. Maybe this. Yeah, get a little more glass looking. There we go. All right. Yeah, I don't know how that started. I was just trying to do something to break up the all the drawing, and realized that I always went to the convenience store on the way to the office. So I just tried to find something specifically that was interesting, and realized that I've lost my kind of eye for that. I don't see. It's hard to find something that actually looks weird from Japan, because a lot of weird fish snacks and things are looking very everyday now. So it's hard to find the stuff that really stands out. But it's fun to try, and then I get to try a bunch of different stuff that I wouldn't have normally bought and put it on stream. Oh wait, I want some better highlights here. Oh yeah, let's make the cups a little more plastic on the top here. They're pretty close to white, but yeah, maybe this straw just at that bend. I think that's already white. Okay. See, just fussing because I don't want to write anything. All right, so I like the thick blue. Yeah, that is just a standard doorbell chime. Cool. Well, I'm glad that's still working. Yeah, it's the sound level on that is kind of buried, so I have to scroll up on my streaming software to see if it's making sound or not, but that's good. I'm glad it's still there. All right. So what are we doing? I like the thick... Okay, so my initial idea was they were all variations on the theme of extra large. And actually, I think that's hyphenated. But I like the thick blue. The thick blue cup. Let's see. All right. Let me take a look at this breakfast. This is what I'm not sure about. And actually, I'm going to move those eyes on that bowl. Yeah, this doesn't. This looks weird. And they look better in the shadows anyhow, usually. And they're not white. All right. There we go. Okay, I think that looks a little better. All right. Yeah, so there's no food in this image. So they're anxiously anticipating a meal. Let's see. Whoa! Oh, that's insane. That's a big donation. All right. Let's see. Oh, if I took the salt out of the salt cellar, then it could be demonstration purposes. Is it another they? And this isn't it. Anticipated. Yeah, this isn't it. Yeah, if I got rid of the salty, yes. Salty is good. Yeah. That's a good idea. Let's see. Writing this on stream is really bad. It's really the worst. Let's see. Breakfast was someone's inevitable saltiness. Yeah, I like saltiness. Or salty. Maybe not someone inevitable. The by consistently member. Oh, lots of typos. Breakfast was ruined by one consistently salty member. Every meal was ruined by one consistently salty member. The one thing they could count on is let me come back to that. Yeah, I like salty. Yes, the sodium, the saltiness of the sodium chloride. Yeah, variations on the theme of extra large. I don't know if I'm going to do better than that. Yeah, because they're all kind of looking straight at the camera, so I don't have anybody interacting, which I could. Yeah, where would you have access to so many paper cups? Let's see. A food court or something. All right. Salty. Yeah, kind of an unspoken. Yeah, they couldn't call. They couldn't call it what it is. The cup on the top right. Oh, sorry. Top right. Oh, I just was drawing variations on weird straws and different color combinations. Yeah, there wasn't anything that was inspiring. I mean, I guess the big blue one is like the giant movie theater size where some of the cups are almost as big as the popcorn. And yeah, they're just all variations on fast food. Yeah, this guy with his bent straw is looks a little unreal. I should double check. Double check extra large. It's probably 2 words. No hyphen. Oh. There we go. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, everything's a bit slow. All right. Yeah, sorry. Just kind of checking. Yeah, the computer's running a little weirdly slow. These are not big files, so who knows what that's all about. Oh, on the laptop. Oh, that's that's on the screen itself in my stream that's my Streamlabs. This guy, this thing, that's the Streamlabs little tip jar thing. I think there's some animation related to it. Yeah, it's just always like randomly full of some odd amount of little baubles. Yeah, Twitch. That's right. Yeah, I got that set up for the Twitch donation, which there's no viewers on Twitch, I think, except myself, so that's why. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's just one of the default cups for Twitch. Right. Yeah, Streamlabs is the animation, the zombie. That's right. Yeah, I set that up a ways back and never caught on with Twitch. Yeah, Twitch does okay for the other. We've got the other live stream, the actual play, and when we're recording stuff for the other channel, we get some more Twitch viewership because there's more subscribers. But yeah, like I was saying, I should just watch some creative streams on Twitch and get connected, because I think that's how I got the viewers on the other one. I was doing some miniature painting on another guy's channel and just started talking to people, and I haven't done that with this particular cartoon on Twitch, which I should. Okay, variations on the theme of extra large. Let's just double check. Yeah, so it depends. Yeah, I guess I'll keep the hyphen so that it stays kind of one word, so that kind of sounds more like a term. I think that works. Yeah, definitely breakfast setting. Oh yeah, I should so something about yeah, something saltier than the bacon. Something that yeah, I kind of was thinking about something that happens every time, and it's kind of inevitable, and everyone's waiting for it, but they can't talk about it. Even without bacon, was always, yeah, but there's not really a huge motivation. So even without bacon, breakfast was always a little too salty. Is that too much of a pun? Even without bacon, then breakfast maybe breakfast was is that capitalized? I hate all this random grammar. I don't think so. Yeah, it's not even a common search. There's no way. Nope. Yeah, even as an adjective. All right. Yeah, I don't know why I thought so. So even without bacon, breakfast was always a little too salty. Always was also. Always. That's weird. I do that sometimes. Typing will be thinking a word and write a completely different word. That's got to be some brain damage. Breakfast was always a little too salty. Even without bacon, breakfast was surprisingly was a little too salty. Surprisingly. Yeah, maybe that'll do it. Even without bacon, breakfast was surprisingly salty. So not pointing any fingers. Okay, so yeah, I wonder if this should be reference to where in the world this would be that you had this many cups. Oh wow. Well, I'll take a look at that. Yeah, Twitch. Yeah, I gotta find some inspiration for doing that, and I actually gotta get online more, doing different things, because there's a lot of other drawing and stuff that I could stream. This is the only one that I just needed to do, very regularly. So it made it easier. When it's all project-based stuff, it'll come and go. But this will always happen. All right. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. There were all variations on the theme of extra large. And even without bacon, breakfast was surprisingly salty. Yeah, it's got to be something. Something just gets switched in my head. And I've actually published cartoons where I've done that, where I put a just random wrong word in there. And maybe it's a brain to your fingers kind of thing. And you just type out something random. Nice. Oh, wait. Yeah, so if I'm going to do that, maybe everybody should be looking, well, or looking away. I guess avoiding it might work. Let me try. That's going to, oh, I got to do a bigger size. Okay, now he looks salty. All right. Yeah, some early cartoons, there was a lot of puns. That was the big criticism when I was submitting this. Originally, I submitted to a British publisher, and they said it's too many puns. We don't publish puns. But good luck with that. All right. So even without bacon, breakfast was surprisingly salty, and they were all variations on the theme of extra large. Good, good. All right. I think that's going to do it. It's on its way to dinner time here. So, yeah. So I apologize for my schedule being so crazy, and I'm glad there's viewers in Australia that can actually roll with the minimal time difference. I think North America is not not involved at this point, so I got to start doing things earlier. But I think, yeah, I've got to work on a more frequent schedule, so I will update everybody once that happens. Sure. Over to the, oh, sure. Oh, actually, yeah, if I make it, if I do this, there we go, then I can kind of center it a little more. Yeah, it's not ideal. My webcam kind of cuts stuff off. Yeah, it, oh, to the right, yeah. Since I draw with things maximized, I don't float the windows so much. Yeah, and the center is actually, yeah, cuts off the beginning of the joke. So, surprisingly salty. All right. Yeah, Photoshop centers it right under there. But it's the easiest way when I'm adjusting size and stuff. Otherwise, this gets a little crazy. Nice. So I think that's going to do it for this week. Right. Oh, there we go. All right. So, yeah, might as well stay on stream. Let me do a quick spell check just in case I did something strange. Yeah, I've heard a good way to proofread things that you want to be double sure are the right wording is to read them backwards, because then you don't skip any words or just assume something, the shape of a word is something that it's not. So reading it backwards kind of defeats all of those shortcuts that your brain makes. Yes, so I think that works. And now we make it very small. And so these are just JPEGs. Well, are they? What's going on here? Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. Mostly just my schedule. I've got to, I could do an extra day, but it would just be like a random, it would be very random. And I want to try to have something that I can do regularly. But, yeah, because right now my schedule, just depending on what, like, so we're either recording stuff for the other podcast or I'm doing a bunch of editing. And it's been hard to keep on top of that recently. So I've been reluctant to try to, because if I do another day, I want to kind of commit to a schedule, although I haven't even been that regular with the schedule, because so I do different like workshops and little things for English, either at the university or with there's a company that I partner with as a group to do kind of testing training, and I can't always work around that schedule as easily as I'd like. Either I've got like preparation or something that's gonna take up time, but I'll try to do that to make that happen, because I really enjoy this, and I'm glad you guys kind of found this situation and it's much more, yeah, it's much more fun. Oh, nothing is misspelled. Would you look at that? No, it's not. Oh, wait. That's because it's in the thing. It's not checking the other line. There it is. I didn't know. You could do that as well. They were all variations on the theme of extra large. So yeah, as you can see from the web save, it's much smaller. Okay. Yeah, it's a. I work on it much bigger, and I work on a pretty high resolution too. I think, like I said before, so I can reuse these images for a lot. So I can do, you know, posters and banners and things, and I don't have to redraw anything. So all this stuff is actually drawn at 600 DPI, but as pixel art, as a just bitmap kind of level, so just black and white. And then when I size it down, then it all anti-aliases into a nice, a nicer looking image. All right. Nice. Yeah, let me give that some thought and see if I can figure out a good day to commit to doing a another live stream, because yeah, I really enjoy connecting with you guys, and if I could find another good time to make that happen. Yeah, probably Monday and Tuesday are the easiest times, but yeah, recently Monday has been busy, so let me figure that out. But oh, JPEGs is I think I could do PNG files as well, but the syndicator, I already, like when I originally signed up for them, in the contract, like literally in the contract, it says you will submit, you know, JPEG files. So these are uploaded to the server. So if I do, so I would like to set up, if I can get something set up at home that's a better drawing situation. Because right now this is the best like workstation and the most monitors and everything. But yeah, if I can get something set up at home, I could definitely stream more often, because I could definitely do it on the weekends as well. When when family's busy with stuff, that would be good. But yeah, right now I only have basically my tablet. The one time that I was sick over the holiday, I did a stream. I did a stream from home on my just my little Surface, and didn't turn on the camera or anything, because I'd be looking at it like this, when I was drawing. So a very disturbing webcam image. But I did the streaming once on the tablet. The tablet's pretty slow though. Oh yeah, this is the so this is the studio where they do all the recording and all the production work and everything, and so it's got the best setup. So stuff from home would be good. I mean, that would be ideal, is to be at home, but then you wouldn't have the busy highway. Because I live on the side of a mountain where the only thing would be some bamboo swaying gently in the window. There isn't much else going on at home. But yeah, home streaming would be good. It'd be good for doing the miniature stuff, the hobby stuff as well, because I do a lot of wargaming stuff, so that would be easier to do at home as well. But this is always fun, and you guys have kind of reinvigorated my me doing the live streaming, and I hadn't considered doing it ever more than once a week before you guys shut up. But thanks so much for watching. It's always fun to back and forth, and you guys give me a lot of good inspiration and motivation for kind of topics. So that it's not always just complaining. I think that's the thing I default to. If it's just me talking to myself, I just start to complain about whatever. So a lot of the early stuff is just complaining. Yeah, you too, K5. So thanks for watching, and you guys take care. And Plexus, thank you for hanging in there. And I guess it's close to the same time in Australia. But it's great to talk to you guys about everything that's going on, and compare and contrast our situations. But I will be back again next week. And so the website for the cartoon is Abuse Cartoon. I don't know why I do this at the end, because I don't know if anybody, if you watch it from the archives, I don't know if you ever make it to the end. But the website is abusecartoons.com, and on Twitter at abusecartoons, and then the archive that you saw. That was some piece of construction equipment going by. The archive that you saw on GoComics is gocomics.com/domestic abuse. And if you'd like to support the cartoon, become a patron at patreon.com/abusecartoons. So thank you very much. And see you guys next week. And have a good one. And I will be back to talk at you then. So take care and next time.